Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Krystal, what are we taking a look at?
Well, the stock market dropped. We're going to look at why and what that means. Also, big new national poll. This is a first. Elizabeth Warren statistically tied with Joe Biden. That's a big deal. We got some other polls we're going to dig into as well. And Sarah Nelson, head of the Flight Attendants Union, is going to be on the show. She's one of our favorites. All that and more today on Rising.
Krystal, what are you taking a look at?
On the economics dashboard of doom, we have another flashing warning light. That is what economists at ING wrote yesterday. It was, in fact, an incredibly foreboding day. The Dow dropped 800 points, or about 3%, triggered by what is known as an inverted yield curve in the bond market. Now, the thing to know about an inverted yield curve is that it has preceded every recession in the last 50 years. As Elizabeth Warren pointed out, this is not the only sign that winter may be coming. Credit card, auto loan, and student debt have spiked. Nearly 1/3 of American adults already have bills in collection. Corporations, too, have taken on very high levels of debt, and we are already in a manufacturing recession. Add to that concerns over the trade war, Brexit, and a looming German recession, and you've got a pretty scary-looking landscape. Now, the most important thing about a recession is the human cost. People losing their jobs, having their homes foreclosed on, and their lives made miserable by financial devastation. In the last recession, research suggests that 10,000 people were made so desperate that they actually took their own lives. Recessions are nothing to cheer for. And yet a few are. Bill Maher, most notably, has said that he's hoping for a recession. Why? Because he believes it will hurt Trump's re-election chances.
Well, you should wish for a recession, because that will definitely get him unelected.
Okay, but Bill, you don't really want a recession.
I really do.
You're gonna knock
we have survived many recessions. We can't survive another Donald Trump term.
So many others seem to agree, even if they aren't actively cheering for a recession to come. Here's Politico yesterday, quote, "Fears continue to rise that a recession could arrive by next year, potentially crashing into President Donald Trump's attempt to win a second term." Other reports indicated that the president's team also believes that a recession could devastate his re-election chances. Maybe, but I wouldn't be so certain. Yes, it's true that the performance of the economy is typically closely linked with an incumbent president's re-election chances. Those are the standard rules of American politics. But the standard rules of American politics have never applied to this president. On the contrary, he thrives on chaos. Because think of what this president's core message is. The core theme and belief undergirding his presidency is one of scarcity. The idea that there's not enough to go around, so I will keep the hordes out and get what there is to be gotten for white America, for the people as defined by Trump. The kind of xenophobia, racial animus, and yearning for authoritarianism that this president lives on can't actually survive in times of true prosperity. On the contrary, these elements thrive in the dark times, in the times of fear and uncertainty. After all, Trump performed best in the places where white America is struggling the most. There was actually a connection between white mortality and Trump support. Where middle-aged whites are dying of despair, Trump is winning. A recession will only spread that pain and potentially with it support for a strongman leader who promises to make America great again. Scholars of authoritarianism have tracked this dynamic closely. They found that large groups of people have what you might call latent authoritarian inclinations. Those are triggered by physical, economic, or cultural threats. And this quality tracks closely with Trump's support. Think of him standing on the stage at the RNC saying, "I alone can fix it," the strongman who will protect his people from the storms. Or think about all those Midwestern farmers who've served as the sacrificial lambs of this trade war. Every standard rule of politics says that they should be furious. They should be abandoning Trump in droves. But there are no signs that farmer support for Trump has wavered one bit. Sure, Trump may be the one who caused their problems, but they're convinced that he's the one to solve them as well. So Democrats do not cheer for a recession or even put faith in a sort of silver lining. Recessions are fearful times, and fear is the lifeblood of this president. Sagar, there's a lot of confidence that a recession would devastate Trump's re-election chances, and I just would not be so certain.
The part of the reason is, what's the alternative? If the alternative is a Joe Biden, then that's the person who got us into these recessions in the first place. How do you think all this auto debt and all this credit card debt and all the these banks that are allowed to consolidate and then get bailed out on the Obama administration, these auto companies, who designed all of that? Who structured our economy in a way in which it crashes every 10 years at the detriment of the lowest and you mentioned a lot of these white working class voters. I mean, why would they take a chance on Joe Biden? If you've talked about their support for Trump, why do you think they support Trump? Because they know that huge amounts percent of their products go to Beijing, and you can't be a sustainable country if your majority of the grain you're selling, the lifeblood of your country, think about it, is food. And if that food is all going to China, that's a problem.
Right.
Who structured our economy this way? That's Joe Biden.
Right.
And the policies he championed.
Right. I mean, I think that's absolutely right. And it's something for Democrats to really think about when they're making their choice in this prime. If you are going to offer an alternative to Trump that actually resonates with people, you have to offer a vision that is different than what we've done in the past, because people do not want to go back to the neoliberal consensus that we had in this country that brought us to this place. That's the bottom line.
I couldn't agree with you more. Next on Rising, Americans continue debating solutions to fix the broken healthcare system.
And that discussion extends to U.S. labor unions. International President of the Association of Flight Attendants, Sarah Nelson, explains why her constituents support Medicare for all when Rising returns.